Welcome to AI Insights, the podcast where we dive into the game-changing world of artificial intelligence. I'm your host, Tony Stewart, Director of Information Technology at Alithia. Today, I'm excited to have a special guest with us, Sergio Schaefer, Senior Partner Solution Architect at Microsoft. We're kicking off an exciting two-part series all about Dynamics 365 role-based Copilot for service and how they're shaking up service organizations. These AI-powered assistants are helping businesses work smarter, serve customers better, and make data-driven decisions that keep them ahead in today's AI-driven world. But before we get into that, we're going to try a quick little icebreaker. So, Sergio, if you could instantly master one tech skill, what would it be and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in this day and age, I would instantly want to have a skill around AI machine learning. I think it's a skill that is in the field, the forefront of technology, like the innovation and really, the AI capabilities and the products like Microsoft has really revitalized the industry. So that if I were to choose one, that would be kind of my top one.
Yeah, I love that one. I've recently been getting into Power Platform, which is strangely a new space for me. If you give me an admin interface or an IDE, I can jump right in. And kind of specific to this conversation, I've been doing more with Power Platform, so I think I would love to just kind of skip over that weird learning curve that happens, where you know just enough how to it should be able to do this, but not enough where you're really able to quickly troubleshoot it and kind of go from there. And agreed on the machine learning part. I think that's such an interesting new technology we get to use, and especially based on the tools we're talking about today, it's really interesting to see what we'll be able to do going forward. Jumping into Dynamics 365 Copilots, could you explain some of the role-based Copilots and how they support sales and service teams, respectively?
Yeah, of course, definitely I can speak to that. So role-based Copilot agents are products that have been developed to sit on top of the Microsoft productivity tools like Team Outlooks and the Office suite, and then bring the generative AI into the products, right? So the idea is that agents and salespeople don't actually have to go outside of their usual line of work and the business products that they use. It brings the generative AI into their productivity tools, regardless if it's first party or third party, regardless if it's dynamic or other third party CRM systems. It's really bringing that generative AI capabilities into where the agents and sales people really work on a day to day.
Do you see anything specific on how they become relevant to those business users day to day?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you think about it, Copilot for Sales, it's that AI assistant that close deals faster, right? They talk about Monday routines, we're talking about data entry, we're talking about file follow-up. So building relationship, right? All that translates into closing deals faster. And then if the sellers have more productivity within the tools that they work, then much better, right? So the aim from Microsoft is to really, regardless, as I mentioned, if you're using Dynamics or not the third-party CRM, it's bringing that productivity into the way they work. For Copilot for Sales, and again, you kind of hear me talk about role-based Copilot agents or Copilot for Sales or Copilot for Service, but for Service really is, we understand sometimes companies don't want to invest in a large system for customer service. They maybe already use the productivity tools they have within their corporation. So maybe they want to bring, other CRM systems that they have over customer service system into their productivity tools. So kind of adding that human touch without going out of the systems they use day to day.
Amazing. So, could you speak a little bit about what that transformation looks like in a longer time frame, say like 6 months or a year for these organizations that are starting to leverage these tools?
Think about in a transformation is teams will actually experience increased productivity, right? Increased efficiency. They can automate routine tasks and really focus on strategic activities that the customer has, actually improving satisfaction, their more accurate responses, or even close deals faster, right? That's within, let's say, 6 months, but within a year, sales and service processes will be more refined. And actually, as Copilot and the generative AI actually learns as the data comes comes in, right? So if you're talking about within a year, within 6 months, all this data driven. So teams in those organizations will have a deeper insights of how their customers behave, right? So they can change, they can learn, they can make decisions faster, and overall the performance of their team will grow, right? They'll be better suited to respond to customers or close deals faster.
And you kind of touched on this just even in that answer, but are there any other like organization wide benefits that you see when companies start to leverage these tools?
Definitely. I mean, just like these tools, when we talk about generative AI in general, right? But when we focus about role-based copilot agents, you can think about a couple of key items. So, for example, any decision making would actually want to understand what are the benefits of the organization, right? What is it that why I'm invested in this? So, first of all, is obviously increased efficiency, right? With automation, routine tasks and activities can be leveraged, can be faster, and can really reduce the operational times. It also can help, improve decision making, right? So if I am a CFO and CEO and I want to make a decision on how do I invest in an organization, it's really that data driven in how I am preparing for the future. Also, like enhance customer satisfaction, right? At the end of the day, if you're a company that focuses on services, you want to have your customers happy, right? So regardless of that, you have to have quick responses, knowledge at your hand, and then because again, at the end of the day, we'll create loyal, customers, right? And everybody hates calling and not, getting a response the first time. So having the tools at your hand is really how you can close deals and, have satisfaction. Obviously, cost savings, right? If you have automated processes with role-based copilot agents, and you have the data within the productivity tools, and your sellers and service people don't actually have to go around and look for it. It really comes down to lower operation costs, right? So they don't need to do manual work; they all have it in their fingertip. And lastly, I would say scalability. I mean, as organizations grow, AI systems can grow with them, right? They help increase and download the workload without really compromising the quality, and I'll say gaining more quality. So it's really essential for companies today to have some sort of sales and service organization focus, but to be more efficient, and you can use role-based copilot agents for that.
Kind of to that points you just made, obviously important would be reducing operational costs, the efficiency there, and I think you touched on that. Could you kind of speak a little bit more on how Copilot for Service supports business scalability and specifically aligns to an organization's long-term goals?
I've alluded a little bit to that as our previous conversations and our previous questions, but I mean, I would just say like overall, this AI assistants like role-based copilot agents really help business grow smoothly in an organic way, because it tends to remove the repetitive task and making processes more effective, making your sellers and your service people, be more confident and be able to kind of close those deals or even, help a customer. So at the end of the day, is if I were a company in Communist Silicon, then it's really about saving costs, right? Because again, they're like given the extra time for their people to do more with doing less, right? So if I, as I mentioned at the beginning, have that productivity tool feeling in the work where I do and where I work, none better, right? And it really helps the long-term alignment to the goals of the company. Plus, companies really can track success, right? I think that's one of the big deals and how they actually track the success. So long term, with these tools can really help them kind of stay focused on the success of their business.
So, looking at organizations that are kind of ready to start on this path and the best practices around implementation, what would you say the key steps for an organization to start a pilot program for these would be?
I think this is a great question, and I think this is a lot of companies really struggle with that, especially because they want to see a return of investment, right? They want to understand how much they're going to invest and how much they're going to get out of it, right? So, an important part is really that pilot, as you mentioned, right? But really, I would say there's about six topics that I would say that are important if I were to define this. the steps would be like really define objectives. Like what is clearly outlined you as a company, what you want to achieve with a pilot, right? What are your metrics? How do you want to improve productivity? How do you want to enhance like your customer satisfactions, or even how do you want to close deals faster, right? A second point would be is select a team, right? I mean, it is you cannot just deploy this to multiple people. You have to have a set of selected pilot people because you'll be strategically on what they do. So I choose just like a small amount of teams that include members from, let's say, various departments, even C-level, so they can understand how that works, right? So that way they can enhance and embrace the new technology, but also be stewards of the technology. If people don't believe in the technology because it considers it a change, it'll be hard, right? Onboarding and training, obviously, this is something very important, right? I mean, it's not just about letting the tool out there and just say, hey, use it and see how you feel. It's really have them train, understand how they can leverage the tool and how that brings into the work that they do. Encourage communication, right? Anything that, that they want to share with you around the pilot, what is working, what is not, really fosters that they're getting, their voice heard, right? And at the end of the day, it's really about monitoring the usage, right? If you define as small people, but they're not using it and you're not noticing, then you're going to have a problem because you're not going to be able to identify if it's really working for your organization or is it really just because people didn't use it, right? And then at the end of the day, you as a company, you need to analyze the pilot results, right? Did that work for you as an organization? Is it really meeting your goals as an organization? And then you can roll out different insights and adjust based on that, right?
AI is redefining field service, and with Microsoft Copilot for Service, the future is already here. At Alithia, we help organizations harness the full power of Dynamics Field Service and Copilot to transform sales, inspection, and service operations. Imagine turning inbound emails into service cases and work orders instantly with generative AI, eliminating manual entry and accelerating response times. And it doesn't stop there. Your technicians can also leverage AI-powered language processing in the mobile app, giving them more time to troubleshoot issues and resolve cases without getting bogged down in trip reports and paperwork. When it comes to scheduling, AI-driven optimization factors in predictive travel, weather, and traffic conditions, ensuring smarter dispatching, greater efficiency, and on-time service every time. If you're ready to integrate AI seamlessly into your service and sales operations, Alithia has the expertise to make it happen. Visit alithia.com/field service to learn more and start your AI-powered transformation. I think there's a lot of work to be done and time spent from when you first say the licenses are assigned to when you could say this is successful. And I think you touched on a lot of great points in that space. I mean, establishing who the team is going to be, and then just from day one when you get access to it, using it is a lot different, or using any of these Copilot systems is a lot different than how you would be using it, say, 6 months down.
Yeah, no, and I think that roadmap is important, right? And again, we've seen this with partners and customers where they don't have a strategy, and at the end of the day, they end up failing because people don't see the benefits. So a strategy, a roadmap, and as I mentioned, some of those points is really important because it'll help you drive success.
Yeah. So businesses that are in that space, either about to start or maybe they've started already, and they are kind of in the, we've assigned the licenses, but we're not seeing users start to really embrace the technology. Do you have any strategies on how businesses can measure that success, or kind of come in and continuously improve the user experience of them?
Metrics are important, right? You have to define what are your key KPIs or your productivity, identify what it's you as a company identify as productivity gains, right? So there's if you don't have clear KPIs, it's really hard to measure performance and then really get the business clear areas that you want, right? As I mentioned, regular feedback. If you're considering the feedback that your resources are giving you, really helps do the performance, enhance the performance, and can be adjusted. Let's say with direct feedback, or if you have surveys. But at the end of the day, you want to improve based on that feedback, and it's nothing worse than providing feedback and your feedback is not take into consideration, right? So it's a continuous, a successful continuous improvement of the program. Again, as I mentioned, moderate the usage of the data. If you analyze if they're using it, how often they're using it, is it really helping them drive gains? Then is really how you kind of do that productivity and really benchmarking, compare performance with before and after, right? See how your gains are, and you see if it's this is a product for you as a company, because it really will show you if it adds like the benefit. And at the end, interactive improvements, right? So don't stick to the way you work, right? Challenge your people to say, hey, you work this way. Have you tried this way? And the tool will help you this. It really helps you kind of measure those organizational successes, right?
Absolutely agreed. And we've really seen that the pilot phase, especially when it's a guided version of that, not every organization is going to go through the same path. Not every user is going to adopt it the same way. So, I think the iterative approach that you said is probably the best thing to highlight there, as far as this is something you have to keep coming back to improve, to actually see those benefits realized. And, you kind of touched on it, but from the organization level, outside of just the usage of it, how do organizations look at measuring their ROI or seeing if these programs are successful?
Yeah, so definitely, I would say metrics. Copilot, role-based Copilot agents come with metrics that really can help an organization figure out what gains have they had, right? So it is part of, one thing is the tools and the KPIs and the metrics that the tool will give you, but really it's that feedback. Your resources will tell you if this is working, right? So that's why it's kind of things you point about, that iterative, even the importance of giving some training at the beginning, right? Again, if you don't do that, your people are not going to be backing it up. They won't be excited about it. And really, excitement kind of is like a fire. It'll go through your organization. So those are really what some of the things that I would highlight just on that.
Sergio, thank you so much for our conversation today. This was incredibly helpful. Listeners, don't leave us yet, and remember to follow up and catch part 2 of this podcast series. Stay tuned by following us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Also, don't forget to check out alithya.com for more information about Alithya Dynamics field service practice and how you can optimize Copilot for Service to elevate your customer service operations.